guys, it's Joy, and I'm seeing this make the rounds, and I saw this the other day, and I thought, I want to talk about this. So apparently Rylan is back on his podcast because how dare he continue to live his life and be a person when everybody hates him and bullies him and his fiance enough. I guess they just need to crawl into holes and die. So says the internet, and we know the internet popular opinion and internet moms, especially in the comments section, are always right. They never get things wrong. But I want to go ahead and I want to talk about this because a lot of people are mocking and making fun of Rylan because Rylan is complaining, which how dare he? Because apparently when you're wealthy or you've got more money than some people, you're not allowed to have any issues or even talk about your experience. In fact, don't talk at all. Just go ahead and not exist, which is what we want with Shane and Rylan. But people are talking about this and they're mad. They're mad and they're upset. And they're making fun of the fact that Rylan opens up a little bit about how he's feeling right now and says he feels lost. And how dare him? So I want to take a look at some of these clips and then I want to give you some of my insight into it because, I don't know, I think I might have some decent stuff to say. Let's take a look.
Well, you've been like permanently, well, I have too. I've been like, not down in the slumps, but just feeling like, what's the purpose?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you had told me Mercury's in retrograde, which seems to make sense.
But I just made that up. Like, that's not based on any fact or anything. It just feels as if we must be in retrograde.
It must be. I mean,
shit's going weird.
There's no other explanation other than like everyone has just had it with the current state of the world.
Well, there's also
we can't do anything. I mean, people are starting to go batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Every time I like make my way in public safely, of course, I just feel like people are losing it. As am I. Like and I get it. I understand why all of these like fast food stories that we're talking about are happening.
The amount of people that tagged me in a post about a man who pulled a gun at a McDonald's drive-thru is too many. I need to say, like, I need to clear the record. Like, I don't identify with that. Like, I speak kindly to the manager when I ask to speak to them.
Nor are you driving around Los Angeles with a gun.
No.
And these poor people are trying. I feel bad for anyone that has to encounter the general public right now because we're unwell.
Awful.
Everyone is unwell. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm having
I think we need like a break. Like we need like, it's like in 8th grade when they know like the class is about to lose its shit. So they offer you like a big like vacation at the end of the year because they just know that the kids are going to set the school on fire because they have like, they can't be held responsible for it the next year. It feels like that's where humanity is.
Well, what's
we need to be taken to Great America. No, I'm contemplating getting bangs. I finally have a hair appointment on February 10th. Looking forward to it. Margie, I can't believe you guys are open again.
I did get my haircut this week too,
you
and
lucky
it feels
dog.
like
it looks good.
A brand new boy.
Yeah.
Although, like, who's it for? You know, I mean, other than this podcast, I sit at home and just like it feels like Groundhog Day. And I'm sorry to like harp on this again, but I just feel like it's never ending. Every day's the same.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that. It definitely feels like that.
Well, I bet for them it feels like Groundhog Day when they are constantly bullied and picked apart and people are mean to them for seemingly almost no reason or things people have just been making up that they've been doing for, I don't know, like 8 months since at least last May, right? April, May of 2020. First of all, like, why are people upset by this? Aren't we all feeling a little unsettled and disheveled for the fact that like we have been now almost a year kind of quarantining? It's been almost a year of people not being able to be social, and people like me who are chronically sick or disabled who stay home most of the time doesn't affect us as much because what happens is in a situation like that, when it's forced like that, especially if you're ill, at some point there's a breaking point where you find the peace in it and you stop going crazy. And I can be compassionate with the fact that many people haven't gotten to that point yet, and that's okay. What has he said here that would be warranted as what a horrible person he is? So because he has money or status, because he and Shane worked their butts off for it, like because of that, they shouldn't air out, they shouldn't have feelings. I find it interesting how we like to demonize people just because they're doing okay. Guess what? They get to have feelings. And I feel the same way. There are many days I feel lost. I'm like, with all of the, and this is not to be braggadocious, but I'm being realistic, with all the things I can do and the talents and the abilities I have that I've worked on or were God-given that I'm grateful for, I sit here and I talk about current events on YouTube. This is my life. This is my legacy. And I feel lost. I feel lost about being chronically ill in this world. There are so many ways. We all feel this way. I sometimes feel lost about YouTube. I do a lot of different self-checking. Am I doing things right? Should I change things? Should I do things differently? And that changes every single day. And the fact that he's saying and admitting, I feel lost right now, the world is going crazy, I don't see why he should be demonized for that. I think he's speaking the truth. I think they're both speaking the truth. And even him talking about the haircut. Look, guys, I just spent a decent chunk of money, the first chunk of money I've spent in probably 5 or 6 years, on clothes, because I'm in those in-between sizes, and I'm at the point in 6 months I'm gonna be real small again. And so I bought a lot of stuff because I need stuff to be able to present to you guys on YouTube, because I know how much bullying still exists on YouTube with females and how they look. Happens to me in the comments frequently still. Thank you, body positivity Trisha Paytas and all of her people who make sure you tell me how disgusting I am or how I look trans. First of all, trans people are beautiful, so I'm fine with that. Or if I look like a man, men are beautiful. I'm fine with that. You know what? I got big balls and a swinging big you know what, so I'm fine with it. Honestly, I'm fine with it. There are many parts of me that are masculine and there are many parts of me that are feminine. To say I am more one or more the other is not an insult. I find it a compliment because both are beautiful. I don't know. I find the hypocrisy of it hilarious. But he goes on to say some other things too that I think are interesting. He says he's been feeling not down the slumps, but kind of like, what's the point? Well, yeah, when you constantly have people hate you nonstop and the majority of it is over BS and nonstop lies and people just perpetuating or creating lies about you, you're probably going to feel that way. Shane's probably also having his own existential crisis about facing who he was in the past versus who he is now versus the fact that no matter what he does, people are going to hate him. And that's a hard place to be in because I've personally been there with the internet. I finally had to get to the point of saying, I don't give a you know what, and I'm going to do what I need to do, say what I need to say, and build my channel and my business as such. I hope in whatever way Shane needs to and whatever path he needs to take, he is able to get to that point as well. They also talked about Mercury being in retrograde. They're like, I don't know. Actually, it is. From January 30th to February 20th. That's the kind of thing that I follow. I follow minor astrology. I have a lot of friends that are into it because I still have a lot of new ager type beliefs and things that I do. Some I don't have anymore. I let go of, and some I still embrace, and I love astrology. And for those of you that don't know, Mercury retrograde. So Mercury is a planet, and it's apparently one of the things it's ruled by is communication. So the whole premise of Mercury retrograde is sometimes when the planets are spinning and doing their orbits and things, it can look like the planet is moving backwards. That's what they call a retrograde. Now, it's an optical illusion. It's not actually moving backwards. It's just how it looks. But during this time, a lot of things will come up. There's going to be a lot of miscommunication. It's told don't do business, or more so, don't sign new business contracts, don't do contracts, don't do anything of that nature. And there are going to be miscommunications, technology issues, glitches in the matrix of that sort. So it's funny that they were like, just feels like a Mercury. No, it actually is. And that lasts until February 20th. But there's also I forget the word for it. Like a pre-shadow period, the few days leading up to, and then afterward, it's called the post-shadow. So it can even, there are still minor issues that go on for a few days afterward. But it's funny because that's entirely accurate, and they're speaking my language. And he's compassionate. He's like, me and others are losing it. We've had it. We're all going crazy. And I think that's part of it. And I kind of have a feeling, I wonder if that's part of why I felt called and things just worked out in my life that I came back to this side of YouTube. Because I think there are so many people who are just tired of the BS and tired of the bullying that goes on. First of all, small business owners and people across the country have been bullied by having to lose their jobs and not have enough jobs to actually come back to. I think a lot of people on both ends of the spectrum politically, I'm not taking a side, I'm just saying, I think they're angry about this or about that still. I think that's still a really prevalent situation. I think the conservatives are very angry that Trump didn't win. I'm not here to give an opinion. I'm just showcasing what things look like to me. I think there's a lot of anger because I think on both sides of the spectrum we realize how absolutely unfair things are. People are having real world issues. They are going homeless during a pandemic, and our government is doing squat to help us. I'm sorry. One thing I will say I'm mad at. I'm not saying I'm left or right, but our new president has done, I think, 34 executive orders, even though he says doing executive orders right away that quickly is what a dictator looks like, even though he's done more than like the past few presidents combined as early as he has. Nothing to help with stimulus. Nothing. Remember, I still do have a stimulus channel. I just don't upload on it. So this is stuff I follow. Nothing to help small business owners. Yeah, people are furious and people are starting to lose it because they're mad. What's wrong with him pointing that out? And he talked about it being Groundhog Day. I think a lot of us feel that way. with this kind of still, quarantine. I know it's not the same for everyone in every place, but still, we're not really doing get-togethers. We're not really going to the movies. We haven't gotten life back on track the way it is. So I don't know. I agree with him on all these points. And I think it's funny they picked up on Mercury retrograde without even knowing. That's very cute to me.
I finally decided that I'm not going to allow Gen Z to tell me how to part my fucking hair.
Why?
Because
you're watching TikTok too much.
I am watching TikTok too much, but no, girl, like they've made some great fucking points on there. There was another millennial girl who got on there and she was like, I'm not going to take hair advice from a generation that fucking ate Tide Pods. Like on some beal shit.
And so that's what inspired you to move forward and not being influenced by the generation below us.
Exactly.
See, I just opt out of looking at TikTok altogether.
Ugh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. Okay.
Wait, was this Rylan and Shane doing a subtle dig to everybody on TikTok, which means Shane's doing a dig to Trisha and conspiracy theory and blah, blah, blah? First of all, the only time I've TikToked is when I have to go see the stuff people send me that Trisha has said about Shane. Otherwise, I don't TikTok. No disrespect to TikTok. I don't understand it. You guys know I make long-winded videos, so maybe it just has to do with that. But I'm looking at this and I'm just sitting here thinking, like, really? First of all, I think, or people are like, oh, this is such a diss. Okay, all the generations have their strengths and have their weaknesses. And I don't think this is a subtle diss. I think they're just talking about how they feel. And Lizzie's giggling, saying, so the people who decided eating Tide Pods was great want to try to tell me how to live my life, and I'm not going to adhere to that. More power to her. Doesn't necessarily mean it's some type of diss or some type of nod. People sometimes just talk about how they feel, and it doesn't mean it's all about offending somebody or it's all a conspiracy theory. Like, not everything is a conspiracy theory, my goodness.
But, like, honestly, like, if my 16-year-old daughter wanted to go to English class in bondage, I would say, hey, girl, let's talk about this.
You know what? I think it's all social media's fault. I think that, and that's why I think I'm feeling purposeless.
Fault?
No, I think it's the teenagers in today's day and age are ruled by being socially involved through their phone.
Yeah.
And it's just really, really bad. And I think that's why I'm recontemplating everything about my purpose in life, because it's like we're on one end of the spectrum becoming like self-actualized, realized people, but then what's being promoted to us and what does well online is negativity. And so like Twitter, YouTube, the news, it's all like doomsday 24/7. And it's like this weird complex of we're trying to be good people, but we're still like honestly consumed by the bad.
We're addicted to negativity. We're full blown. Like, it's like our brains are engaged in this drama, and it forces us to like stay tied to it and never seek a resolution, because this is what's feeding us.
Yeah. And I've been doing, like, recently I read a book on ego. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about ego and how we're all so tied to that. And I think social media really like builds up a person's ego, which is not great, because those are all the personality traits that are, I am what is in my bank account. I am my social media following. I am my accomplishments. I am my past. And in actuality, we're not those things. If we would like rip back the veil and see people for what they are. But it's hard, because then like what does well or what attracts people, like Twitter, 90% of the trending thing is drama and fear. A video that does well on YouTube is a dramatized, like you're exploiting. And that's why I'm having like this weird thing, because YouTube like, specifically, sorry.
No, I was just going to say this is like a really interesting thing, because like our brains are evolutionarily programmed to seek out, to be activated by fear indicators and stress indicators for survival.
Right.
But because none of us are actually trying to survive anymore, specifically like in America, right? Like our value of life is pretty great out here. We seek that out elsewhere. So like I was studying composition for like film and cinematography and things like that.
Right.
And there's this book on composition that specifically states like these types of images evoke fear in a person and make somebody stop and watch it because of that evolutionary trait. So like all media, even if it's supposed to be like good shit, is influenced by that fear pinch to get that nerve, to get that attention.
And even being a YouTuber with good intentions, it's like when you're trying to promote your video, you have to think of like, oh, how am I going to exploit this video to grasp people's attention. And it's just like, it's hard to step around that because that's the way the world works. So it's like, do I do this or do I just not do anything with my life? So then that's why I'm like having this weird
an existential crisis.
Yes, correct.
Is this what I want to do or is it real estate?
I do love
I'm
real estate.
actually having dreams that I'm reading comments, that there's a secret section on our videos where you can read comments, and I'm somehow getting, like, I've had dreams the past 2 nights that I've found this like psychotic version of our comment section that exists on YouTube but is just privatized. That's how addicted my brain is to that.
Well, and who knows? They might be back up for this episode. I guess go down and figure it out for yourself because I haven't even made the decision yet.
Okay, this was a bit longer, so I have my notes and I want to break this down. First of all, I had never watched The Sip. I didn't know about it until recently. I'm a fan. I'm not a fan. People always go, oh, it's so boring. Are you kidding me? They talk about all kinds of awesome, weird things. They talk a lot about new age stuff and quantum physics and ETs and like future technology. Like, I am so into all of this. I get so buzzed. So the girl was talking about, and I love this. Lizzie was saying, like, if my daughter wants to show up to class in bondage, I'm like, hey, let's talk about it. And, it seems like we're trying to be so liberated as a society that, yeah, why not let your daughter just show up topless in a G-string to school and, scream discrimination and people say, maybe she shouldn't dress that way. So this is what it says. Rylan says he blames social media and teens ruled by social media involvement. He said, through the phone, and it's bad. He is recontemplating his purpose in life because on the one hand, we are becoming self-actualized, self-realized people. But what's being promoted and does well online is negativity. Bing, bing, bing. 100%. That's with all media. It's all doomsday 24/7, and it's a weird complex of we are trying to be good people, but we are consumed by the bad. 1000%. Look at the videos I've done with the bullying of a lot of these SJW drama channels. Look at it. I don't think all of them are ill-intended. I think some are, and they're just using the guise of, or they think they're in the right because. But I think a lot of them get confused with that line. Definitely. Because we get rewarded for the bad behavior. He says we're addicted to negativity and our brains are engaged in a drama, and it forces us to stay tied to the drama and not get resolution. I've said this routinely. People don't seem to want resolution or peace in a lot of these situations that come up on YouTube. All they want to do is beat somebody down into submission until they don't exist. And then there's no point in society ever changing, people growing, getting better, because if there's no forgiveness, there's no incentive to get better. What's the point? All you're going to do is just become the abusers you clean people are, and then you're going to have a counterculture full of awful traumatized people who are going to be the super mean people that you scream everybody else as shallowly when they just made a mistake. He says, I read a book on ego and a podcast recently and how we are also tied to that, and social media builds up a person's ego. It's the personality traits that in my past, he says the I ams. I am my bank account. I am my following. I am my past. We aren't those things. If we rip back the veil and see people for what they are, but it's hard because what does well and attracts is drama and fear. Dramatized videos exploiting people do well on YouTube. Bingo. He's talking a lot about what they call the ego. I've done a lot of studying on this. Ego. The concept of the ego is it's anything that you attach to. I am. Something that you identify with or attach to. I am this. I am that. I attach my self-worth and my identity to these things. In fact, a lot of this has to do with Eckhart Tolle is one that I've studied a lot of. Eckhart Tolle's teachings about being present, being in the now, how to do your best to let as much of your ego go as possible, or how to just observe without reacting, which I think that was a fantastic thing for me to learn. And if you go back further, Eckhart Tolle isn't the one that came up with this. He's just taking a lot of it's really the Eastern, like Buddhist philosophies, Buddhist and Hindu. They do a lot of this type of stuff. A lot of the Eastern monks, these are their philosophies. And it's such a healthy, peaceful way and gives you so many tools to adopt. I used to be a very chaotic person that just reacted to every emotion extremely. I grew up, and for me it was in my opinion, those were just bad habits. I grew up around very extremely reactive women. We're talking very extreme, very abusive, and that behavior with me carried on. It wasn't all the time, but it was enough. At certain points, they would just explode. And I had to learn how to deal with that. I had to learn how to be present, not attached to my emotions, be able to say, I feel like crap and I'm going to let myself feel like crap and that's okay, but I'm not going to attach who I am to these feelings. Because a lot of times with the ego will really trick you. So for instance, if you feel pain, the ego will kind of trick you. It's that part of yourself that gives you the negative self-talk. You're never going to be okay. You're going to feel this way forever. Everything's destroyed, right? Those negative downward spirals. What he's talking about, the teachings of how to deal with your ego, helped me. So I don't really have those anymore. Now, sometimes I can fall prey to it in myself, but I'm able to observe it and it's not a big deal. And the big thing I've learned is this too shall pass, whether it's good or bad. Tomorrow is a new day, whether I am here or not. Everything happens for a reason, right? Things work out the way they need to and in the perfect way, even if it's not something I can see or what I want. These are things that have changed my life. He's just really speaking my language here, and he's absolutely correct. We all attach our identities to all these other things, and that's one of the reasons it creates so much unhappiness. And most of us suffer from a lack of gratitude. I think one of the big keys to happiness is gratitude. It's my opinion. So he says, and then Lizzie goes into our brains are evolutionary programmed to be activated by fear and stress indicators for survival. But most of us aren't trying to survive anymore because we have a decent way of life. I would say this is the only part where I could see people maybe criticizing a little bit because so many people are in desperate, dire straits because of the economy and what's happened with the virus. A lot of people are really struggling meal for meal. I don't think that was meant in any ill intention. I think they're talking about people where they have to walk 10 miles a day to go get water. That stuff typically we don't have to do. But then again, states like California have let people just run rampant with being homeless, and it's compassionate to let them be homeless rather than finding ways to home them. I don't know. Things really bother me. But, and what they're talking about is, so we're going to seek that fear because that's an instinct in us for survival. Fear makes someone stop and watch whatever's going on because of an evolutionary trait. All media is influenced by that fear pinch to get our attention. And then there's also, we can get addicted to it because we can get adrenaline rushes. And sometimes you can even get little chemical rushes from these things. So some people seek it out because it makes them feel a certain way. And they say, even a YouTuber with good intentions, when you promote your video, you have to try to figure out how to exploit it to get people's attention. 100%, I'm 1,000% guilty of that. A lot of people have criticized me on that, 100%. It's hard to get around because it's the way the world works. Do I do this or not do anything? So I'm having a weird existential crisis. I go through this often as a YouTuber. I think a lot of YouTubers, if you're a decent person, go through this. That's why I've very much defended Mikenactor at times, because I'm like, guys, when he goes back and forth on what he wants to do, where his content is growing, this, that, and the other, that's because he's trying to figure out how to be a decent person. That should be applauded, in my opinion, at least. So no, I completely agree with that. I go through that. I go through, my titles and my thumbnails being very attention-getting, versus being able to get the info out there, but you have to promote, you got to market a certain way. So it's really a double-edged sword. And I've decided if this is how it's going to be, I'll play the game to get my message and grow my business until I'm able to help make positive changes in the game. And that's what I like to do. And then I thought it was interesting. Lizzie was saying she's having dreams about the comment section. There's a secret comment section. Y'all do this. I've had dreams about the comments, but the one I always have that I hate. So I've had a lot of traumatic experiences being a server. Who hasn't? I was good at being a server. I liked it to an extent, and I was really good. I got really popular when I would serve places because people, I love to take care of people, and they felt really taken care of by me, and I do special favors for people. And people really, I was requested a lot, and people liked me, and I liked it, but it is one of the hardest jobs some places are a little more laid back. The places I served at were really high demand, lines out the door most of the day. Really, really difficult. And I still have dreams that if you're a server, they call it being in the weeds. It means you are overwhelmed with all of the people and all the demands you have to take care of. And you're at the point you're having a hard time even functioning and doing your job. And I'll have dreams where I'm in the weeds and I can't get out of it with serving. Oh my gosh. And then I just had so much anxiety and I feel like I didn't sleep because my cortisol was going crazy. Sometimes I'll wake up with physical issues. It's a mess. But I just wanted to go ahead and make this video and say I love this podcast and I support them. And I think it's really gross that people want to bully, they want to bully Rylan for some of the things he said, or bully Lizzie, and then as an extension of that, bully Shane. I really don't think there was hardly anything in here that was offensive. I love it. And to Shane and Rylan and Lizzie, y'all keep it up. Keep it up. You're being, in my opinion, a kind voice of reason on this platform, and we need that. You're actually talking, and there was more. They were talking about aliens coming down and like all these other things, stuff that's right up my alley. And I was like, you know what? Stay in your power, y'all. Speak your truth. The truth prevails. The truth wins in the end. But sometimes the truth, unfortunately, is a big timing karmic game. Okay, guys, if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up, like the video, also subscribe and hit that notification button so you can be notified when I upload. Comment sound off, tell me what you think, and sound off. I just told you to sound off in the comments. I'm tired, I'm sorry, guys. Please share this content with people you think might like it. I'm gonna get more videos ready and keep doing what I do. Growing my business, growing my channel, and giving you guys hopefully good content. Take care, love and blessings to everybody. Sending you guys hugs, mwah, kisses, stay safe, stay healthy. I will see everybody soon, and I will just keep making videos. Okay, bye guys.